Okay, so what is this watch exactly? Is it just a Rolex Oysterquartz Homage, a baby Royal Oak, or even some sort of Omega Constellation alternative? Or is this a real Tudor? Is this its own thing? In today's review, I'm going to try to get to the bottom of this. First, here are some quick specs. This is a 38mm model. It has a 45mm lug-to-lug distance. Lug opening is sort of hard to judge with these integrated bracelet models, but the widest point on the bracelet is about 24mm and it tapers down to 16mm by the clasp. And the watch also has a thickness of 10.6mm only. The case and the bracelet are made out of stainless steel. The crystal is sapphire. Water resistance 100 meters or 330 feet. Tudor caliber T601 is the movement powering this watch. It's an automatic movement. And the retail price for this piece is $2,335 US. Not a bad deal at all, especially for the Tudor. But is this a real Tudor? First, the design. It's striking. It has mostly satin finishes with a few high polished highlights to give it a little pop. This watch grabs quite a bit of attention when it's on the wrist. It's a bit loud, but still classy. I think Tudor has achieved a good balance between those two opposites. Even though the watch is flashy, it still doesn't look cheap, and the finishes are outstanding, especially for the watch in this price category. I think this is one of the best finished cases you can get under $2,500. The crown is at the 3 o'clock position. It's slightly undersized. I mean, it looks good aesthetically, but functionally, it could be easier to use if it were a little bit larger. The crown is screwed down and it's signed. I actually went swimming with this watch to put that 100 meters of water resistance to the test, and the watch performed just fine. One of the standout features of this watch is, of course, this bezel. It has this notched bezel design with cut-in grooves and polished squares. Once again, the watch plays with the light in very interesting ways, and at first I wasn't really sure about this bezel design. But then I thought more about it, and it actually is probably the best bezel design for the overall aesthetic of the watch. Think about it. If the watch had a completely smooth bezel, it would look a little bit odd, and a fluted bezel design would make this watch appear a little bit too classy and would take away from its sport-like appearance. Now let's talk about the dial. It's one of my favorite and least favorite parts of this watch. I know it doesn't make sense, but let me explain. First of all, the things that I love about this dial. The blue color looks awesome. It looks royal. I thought I would not be a fan of applied indices on the dial, but actually I quite like them. This dial is straight up Rolex Datejust dial. The quality and the color balance are outstanding, and you get this dial for a fraction of a price of a Rolex Datejust. And if you're buying one of these watches, I would definitely go for the blue dial. It just plays so well in different lighting conditions. In natural light, it looks completely different than it looks in artificial light. When it's dark, it looks different. Every different lighting condition makes this dial camouflage itself, so it's almost as if you have multiple different dials on the same watch. I also like the set of hands. They're simple and elegant. As I said, it's not all positives. Now let's talk about some of my negatives about this dial. First of all, the date window at the 3 o'clock position. I think they can just get rid of it altogether, but since they chose to include this date window, I think it could have been incorporated into the dial a little bit better. I especially despise that half-cut Roman numeral. It doesn't look good, it looks odd. Another thing that kind of throws off this dial for me, by the 6 o'clock position, is just an empty space. There is no writing there, and I think this dial would benefit from some writing. Maybe just a couple of lines, say Royal and officially certified chronometer or something like that, or chronometer, that's it. It just needs a couple of lines there for balance. As it is right now, to my eye, it just looks a little bit empty, like it's missing something. There is some lume on the watch, the hands are loomed. Here's a lume shot for your reference. It's alright, nothing special. What is special is this bracelet. It's fantastic. It's a 5-link structure with alternating satin and brushed finishes. The quality of the finishes and overall bracelet feel is hard to beat, especially at this price point. Watches in this price category, $2,000, $2,500, usually fall short in their bracelet design. The bracelets are just too jangly and they don't feel solid enough. This one here, even though it's quite a complicated structure, it's a very solid feeling bracelet. Yet all the links are fully articulating. It hugs your wrist while there is enough of a gap between the links for your wrist to breathe easily. I also like the design of this clasp. It's kind of hidden away with this safety fold over mechanism with a Tudor logo on top. One thing that is missing from this clasp are micro adjustments. You will have to adjust this watch by removing or adding links. Luckily, it's pretty easy, just use a screwdriver. Now, what about the most important aspect of the bracelet and arguably the watch? The comfort on the wrist. A lot of times wearing this watch on the wrist, I even forgot that I had it on. Now, this great comfort comes to two things. Number one, just the nature of this watch's design with the integrated bracelet. These watches generally tend to be pretty comfortable on the wrist. Number two, the way this bracelet tapers in. It goes from 24 millimeters by the watch case all the way down to about 16 millimeters by the clasp, which makes the watch super comfortable. With everything I've described so far, you might be wondering, why is this watch so affordable? What's the catch? There is not really a catch. I mean, some of the watch enthusiasts would argue that it's a big thing. The fact that this watch doesn't have an in-house movement. The caliber T601 is actually based on a Sellita movement. But I would argue it's actually not a big deal. A lot of watch companies do that, especially with watches in this price category. Bremont and Breitling, two brands that come to mind. This movement is great. It's still a high beat movement, easy to service, not particularly beautiful to look at, but it's not overly complicated. 40 hours of power reserve is enough, and I'm willing to take the sacrifice in the movement for a lower price tag. And I think overall the watch is reasonably priced. Under $2,500, it's difficult to beat. Now I am gonna say this, on my 7¼ inch wrist, it does appear to be a little bit too small because of that short lug-to-lug distance. So if you have a smaller wrist, under 7 inches, ideally probably 7½ inches, this watch would look fantastic. But if you have a wrist like mine, over 7 inches, it might appear a little bit too small, and you're probably better advised to go with the 41 millimeter version. Although I personally don't like that version. I don't like the day date on the dial. I think it looks off, and that empty space by the 6 o'clock position just amplified on the larger dial. So really between the two, even though this one is smaller and wears a little bit too small on my wrist, I'd still prefer this watch over the 41 millimeter version. Now, to answer the question I was asking at the beginning of this video, is this watch an homage to other great models of the past, or is this watch its own thing? Now, of course, design is very subjective, to each their own, as the saying goes, but for me personally, I think calling this watch simply an homage would be underselling it. It has enough of its own identity to be its own entity. I also don't think that this watch makes a good Rolex Datejust or Omega Constellation alternative. It's its own thing and should be treated as such. But what do you guys think? Do you like this watch? Do you not like it? What you like, what you don't like about it? Please leave your comments in the comment section below. We always enjoy reading them. Speaking of the comment section, please be careful out there. There's this weird scam going around YouTube where scammers will pretend to be me or other YouTube creators. They would say that you won a giveaway, give them your phone number or whatever. So please don't believe that. If there is a giveaway, I'd announce that there is a giveaway. And for all of you scammers out there, I hope your mom finds out what you're doing. For the rest of you guys, thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye.